Or if things don't improve there, if they don't crack down on these criminal gangs, then the federal government's going to come in and help.
Well, that's breaking news right there.
If
he's sending in federal help.
He kept threatening that. Even before he was inaugurated in January, he kept threatening the mayor, Rahm Emanuel, saying, if you don't fix the problem there and get rid of the gangs and decrease this murder rate, then I'm sending the feds in. And I guess he's going to do it now.
All right. For reaction, let's bring in soon-to-be former Republican congressman from the great state of Utah. It's Jason Chaffetz, the chairman of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. He joins us live. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So what do you think of the president's tweet this morning that apparently he's going to send in federal help to the city of Chicago?
I mean, it's almost unfathomable that you'd have 1,700 shootings this year alone. Mayor Rahm Emanuel has had more than his chance to do that. I think the people in Chicago, I hope they meet this with welcome, open arms. I'm glad that the president's doing that, and I think that's very important news this morning.
Congressman, how about the first tweet as well, where he's suggesting that if the Senate can't get their ducks in a row like the House did and actually pass the bill, then let's break it up. Let's repeal it first with a grace period and then do the rest later. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, over in the House, more than 50 times we have voted to repeal it, so I would put that vote up and dare Republicans almost to vote against it. You have to do this and repeal it. And you could put the enactment date a year down the road or pick a specific date. Washington, D.C. operates on deadlines, and so when you have an actual deadline, I think that would actually compel a lot more actions. Otherwise, they're just going to continue to get what they've had so far.
We've heard so many different deadlines. Mitch McConnell was saying this is not going to happen until after the 4th. Then yesterday we were saying they're talking about trying to get this done by Friday, which is today, before the 4th of July holiday. What is the deadline, and when can we expect something?
Well, I think those are artificial deadlines. I do think these things take a long time to come about, but it's really about 7 months late. I mean, I was led to believe in the House that we were going to accelerate our time in the House in January, that the goal was to put the bill on the president's desk when he was sworn in. So it is a bit tardy in terms of putting it on the president's desk, but I mean, we've got to get this done because then we've got to get on to tax reform. So there's a lot of important stuff to do. We just got to do it soon.
Okay, so we've talked about 2 tweets that the president tweeted out today. He sent out a couple yesterday. I'm sure you saw that, where he was commenting about 2 people who make a living insulting him for the most part. Apparently he was over watching one of the channels where it's pretty much 24/7 criticizing President Trump. He apparently had it up to here and got to tweeting. Does the liberal media, Congressman, have any responsibility in the rhetoric?
Well, look, I think the president is being baited. I just don't want the president to take the bait. I want to put a little sticker on his computer that says, if it feels good, don't do it. And because I know it feels better to do that, but he needs to rise above this. I think, quite frankly, I think that tweet was below the office of the presidency, and the best way to fight back against the liberals is to pass legislation, draw attention to the fact that Chicago has had 1,700 shootings. The president has the ability to move the camera in a certain direction, and I'd rather than using those tweets to just take on a personal attack on an individual, put it on a subject. Talk about Kate's Law. Talk about these things. That's what I would like to see him do.
Especially right before a holiday weekend, because that's what everyone's going to be talking about around the barbecue.
I would just say, though, Congressman, if you listen to a lot of people that said rise above it, don't counterpunch, even throughout the campaign, he might not be sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania. So is there some logic to the fact that he just says, if I'm punched, I'm going to counterpunch, and people may not like it?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's within his, I think that's what people are gravitating towards. They like the fact that he fights back, and he has done a lot to draw attention to the fact that a lot of these other networks and individual pundits are taking unfair shots at him. But again, you got to take those barbs and then win it with facts, not just trying to push it down into the gutter even further.
Or not just this rhetoric and this narrative that they think their viewers need to hear, because clearly they were friends with the president. If that tweet is true, if they were down at Mar-a-Lago and hanging out with him, and now they're bashing him on the air. What is that?
Calling him mentally ill? I mean,
many questions. Yeah. To your point, though, you know, he's had a good week. One of the things he ran on when he was president of the United States was Kate's Law. Yesterday, the House passed that, plus the sanctuary cities thing. It was both of them were bipartisan. There were Democrats on board as well. This is something that the president should be proud of, because he talked a lot about it, and finally, up on Capitol Hill, something's being done, Congressman.
Well, yeah. I mean, we actually passed these bills, and they had a great rollout. Think of what they did at the White House. They had a good drumbeat going up to it. Those are the kinds of things we got to do week in and week out, not just once every 6 months.
Yeah. Also, let's talk a little bit about Susan Rice. Apparently, she will testify under oath about unmasking. And I know a lot of the other channels don't talk about the unmasking, but that is when apparently secret documents, that were gathered by our intel community.
Yeah.
If an American's name is in there, it's supposed to say like Citizen 1 or Citizen 2, and somebody apparently in the administration, and some have surmised that Susan Rice took the names off for political purposes. Here she is, we want you to listen to this, on various media outlets talking about her story.
During the transition, after President Trump had been elected, that he and the people around him may have been caught up in surveillance of foreign individuals and that their identities may have been disclosed. Do you know anything about this?
I know nothing about this.
Within that process and within the context of the Trump campaign, the Trump transition, did you seek the names of people involved in, to unmask the names of people involved in the Trump transition, the Trump campaign, people surrounding the president-elect?
Let me be clear.
In order to spy on them, in order to expose them?
Absolutely not for any political purposes, to spy, expose, anything.
Okay, so why is her testimony important while her story on television has changed a bit?
Well, listen, if she's going to answer questions from reporters, then she's going to have to answer questions from the United States Congress. And this, led with Mike Conaway and Trey Gowdy in this closed-door hearing, there's a lot of explaining to do, because if you're unmasking and releasing those names out, that is against the law. It's the one place that we actually know where a law has been broken. And so there need to be some people held accountable. And she's right in the epicenter of that. I mean, this is a person in Susan Rice who went before the world on national television 5 times and lied to the world about Benghazi. And so now we see this is, right in the heat of the transition. Of course, she needs to be held accountable and needs to be under some serious questions for what she did and when she did it.
All right. Jason Chaffetz, who today takes off his congressman hat and tomorrow puts on his Fox News contributor hat. Sir, thank you very much for joining us live.
Thank you.
Thank you.